I'm Margaret in Windsor, and the name I have to go by is Peggy Ann Dempsey. I'm married to Childers. I've put up who my father is, Edward the Eighth. My mom's Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, Windsor, Queen of England in 36. When my father was king, he was taken down by the Illuminati that controls your presses all over. It's a global government that came to be after my father's illegal takedown in 1936. Never married Wallace Simpson. I'm going to say it again. She married a double. She was an American spy. She married an impostor, and there was more than one pretending to be King Edward the Eighth. They were not. And yes, Elizabeth knows it. She always had, all the family have. I mean, all of the family. Some have tried to help, some not. The Kennedys helped kidnap me. I was born in 39, and the day I was born, I'm Victoria II, heir to the British crown. My father was forced out with character assassination. Lies, my God, he never married Wallace Simpson. 1937, she wed the double, pretending to be my father. And that's when the Illuminati, your mafia, your Freemason, global government under the guise now or name of your United Nations out of New York City, where Rockefeller headquarters are, and they control your press. Rockefeller Plaza, the name's right all over NBC, their door inside, etc., etc. So now I wanted to get in back to this, and I'm telling that because your press has denied me my name, or the crimes, the hideous crimes done to me and my children by this country. Let me remind you, and it's ongoing. The FBI have helped, and my country, the government, British intelligence, or the British citizens, average citizens, were the ones that helped try to save me and bring me back. And of course, my mother was an American, sister to artist Georgia O'Keefe. And they not only got rid of my mom and dad back then, my dad's identity was stolen, but they've deleted my mom and even photographs about my mom. Of course, Georgia O'Keefe is my aunt, the artist. Now I want to get back to the mind control murders. I have told just now, I've put up about 4 about the shootings up there at the Tree of Life. It's a Jewish, Orthodox Jewish, I guess is it. Well, I know it is. Okay, anyway, there was the shooting, and I've been writing about mind control murders. And back in 76, there's a list of stars that would probably upset a lot of people. And it should, but they should have been more diligent. Well, anyway, I'm not going to go any further on that. The press should have done their job, or they should be prosecuted for covering it up, because this would never have happened. They've known about my kidnapping, the illegal takedown of my father, the United Nations. They've known about the mind control murders. When I was doing the book, and I had all the background, Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia. I'll say it again. While I was doing the book by a program shooter, Governor Wallace of Alabama was shot by a program shooter. It's the Tesla files that were stolen in 1930, and supposedly, not supposedly, it's what's in them. Information that is so out there that people should have taken notice of. Anyway, they were stolen. Part that I wrote about was that you could create an illness or cure it with mind control. You can program people to shoot in mass now, or you can create cancer or heart attacks or anything, or you can cure it or create an illness or cure it. So all this about having charity drives and all this to find a cure, there was a cure back in 30. Now then, President Trump is president now, and I like him. His uncle, John George Trump, supposedly, and this is written down, and I've seen one of the short videos, and man, those numbers and things, words in there mean something to me. I'd never seen it outside of the things I know. Okay, so anyway, his uncle, who was an MIT professor, was supposed to have stolen these Tesla files. Well, I tell you who's got them. That would be the Illuminati and their press and their global government, the United Nations, without borders. Okay, now, where am I going with this? I'm going to show you where I'm going. I put up about mind control murders, cure cancer, create it, heart attacks, lists of names. Mr. Flint did an endorsement in Hustler magazine, April the 4th of 84. Now, I had been out there in a political campaign that October to replace Congressman Dr. Larry McDonald. You get into, I've got a video up here about him. His question is, did he really go down in that plane, the KL, with 290-something people aboard in the ocean from Juneau, Alaska to Seoul, South Korea, or was it a takedown to make it appear? And I've heard it was to make him appear, and of course it adds fuel to the flame, so to speak, that President Nixon was on that very flight and was taken off just prior to takeoff, and then it all went down. So I was in that election, and I'd written about him in the medical malpractice book and on mind control, and I was almost killed more than once, but hey, the press was told about it by my husband, I had a letter from the FBI, etc., and over about these murders that they can't deny. But they don't have to. They just don't touch it. And they've known about the takedown of my father, all of it, since way back before 1936, the takedown of the royal family there, and installing their own monarch that's running around here. They can't get enough. They're right on the plane with Meghan and Harry and calling them the royal family. They're fakes. Now, I want to get back to the main point here on this one. I recently put up about some things going on with HUD and the fact that I've been kept homeless and deliberately kept homeless, and the fact I have an autoimmune disorder and they've used toxic fumes, which can be deadly to me. The inflammation in my immune system targets itself is triggered by the fumes. Now, it's been used to run me and make me run from place to place and all this. Anyway, it's illegal, but hey, I can't get it into court. There's horror crimes associated with what was done to my sons, who are heirs after me, Mark and Scott, and to me right here in this country, ongoing. And me telling about the mind control murders. I wanted to get this up. I've put these videos up, and I hope this is still going up today. Because today is when this bombing of the Jewish synagogue happened. Did I say bombing? Shooting. The male bombing, he was arrested yesterday. But I said that was a mind control. Goes back to the Unabomber. He was mind control back in 1996. Now, to show you where, and I said this on the video when I was watching it play out on TV about the shootings up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Allegheny County, all right? The man, they finally told it, but before they told his name, I was telling on the videos about my saying about the bomber yesterday, the male bomber, that was mind control used programming done in patterns. Okay, now I'm going to go to today, and I'm watching it. Up comes the shooting of the policeman, and I believe a policeman died. Anyway, the press never tells the truth. They're not doing their job. They're the criminals. If you want to prosecute the criminal and put them on death row, do it to the press. Don't do it to Timothy McVeigh. Don't do it to Scott Peterson. And herein is where I'm going with this. And listen to me here. It's just now that I found out where this connects. And I said this up on the videos today, that just looking at it with what was up there, I really couldn't fit it into any patterns, but just from the ongoing crimes that have been using mind control, you could bet it is part of the mind control murders. So I said that plain and simple. Now then, Robert Bowers, they finally came out and said he was the one that was supposed to have been the shooter. And I said, at the moment, I said, well, I made a joke. If I make a joke, I get through this horror story. And don't blame me, I didn't find anything funny. I found things trying to get through the mess when other people, what's been done to me is a hate crime, and to my children. So here it goes. I'm going to get back to Robert Bowers in a minute. Allegheny County is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Jackson River flows through the town. So Allegheny County, Pittsburgh is in Allegheny County. Okay, I want to jump back to this summer, and 3 summers ago, when I was out at Scott Hill Retirement. And it gets into where I've been telling for a long time about Scott Peterson. He's on death row. He's innocent in this thing about him killing his wife, Lacey, and Amber, as in the Amber Alert about he was supposed to be dating her and supposed to kill his wife, Lacey, and Connor, the unborn child. So now, he was programmed. There was a program, and it even had something about Roanoke and that, but a lot more. And the Amber and all this, it's patterns. And his attorney was Mark Garrigus. And I think Mark Garrigus is one of the best attorneys, and he did everything he could. And I spoke to one of his investigators back in 2010. And, well, more than once. But anyway, let me get on back to this. So it's where I've been, part of the patterns, just like and I hope this is still going up if I've got time on it. I quote, and I had a picture of this, where Gabby Gifford was a U.S. congressman during a campaign or a speech in Tucson, Arizona. Some years ago, she was shot, and so were people in the meeting there. And I don't remember if anybody was killed, but anyway, she's married, Gabby Gifford. Remember, I ran for Congress too. But anyway, she ran for Congress, and she was a congresswoman. Now then, she was married to twins. Now, twins are involved in all this. I was taken to Moulton, Alabama, and given the name of a twin. My name stolen when both twins, Peggy and Carl, had been killed by their mother. And the family covered it up, and I was taken there by JFK, helped fly me there. His dad had been appointed ambassador to England by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, United States president. So there you go, and their connection later to Winston Churchill and Eisenhower, who was the general, and the Church of England got into the takedown of my father, Edward VIII, married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, an American from Madison, Wisconsin. Now, I'm going to jump back here to I was doing the book on mind control. Larry Flint was shot. And I'm going, if you want to, you can go back at the other that I put up, because I said then that I didn't have that much information on this one today, the shooting, but I was sure it was mind control, and I know it is now. I did then. But it came out with Allegheny County, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is in Allegheny County. Now, where I was 3 years ago was Scott Hill in Clifton Forge, Virginia, which is part of the Roanoke area. It was Scott Hill Retirement. So I'm not going to get into all. It's a HUD that happened then. But then this June, a person from out there called me and said they had an empty apartment there. So it gets into this fiasco of moving me around and me going through hell, really, and people not caring. But anyway, I ended up going out there twice again and coming back here where I've been living for over a year now. They made it so bad out there. just like the first time. Now, they're playing games with the Scott Hill. You have to be able to see it. I can't tell it here. But it's connected with the Scott Peterson murders and the fact that I know how mind control was used in murders to commit the crimes. The people are programmed in its patterns. Now, how come it was done in patterns? Because mind control is invisible, just like the odors that I'm running with. How do you prove it, especially if you can't get an attorney? So anyway, let me get back to that. Allegheny County, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania shootings today. Robert Bowers is supposedly the shooter. He's a victim himself. To put him to death is like putting Timothy McVeigh to death for the Oklahoma City bombing. He said, and it's in print, that the U.S. Army put a chip up his buttocks. They did. I have said that before I ever read it in print. But let me back to this. Allegheny County, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is located in Allegheny County. Now then, Allegheny County is where Clifton Forge, Virginia is, the Scott Hill retirement. And it's got the Jackson, I believe, river going through it, which doesn't mean that much in the patterns here. Okay, so I said that Allegheny County is where Pennsylvania, the metro area, is there, and it was named for the Allegheny River. Now, let me go back to Robert Bowers up here. Robert happens to be someone that was very dear to me, and he was in law enforcement. That's all I'm going to say, some years back. Okay, Bowers has to do with the mayor of Roanoke, Virginia, 1992 to 2000, second term 2008 to 2016. That connects back to Grottoes, Virginia, in the Stanton area up there near Charlottesville. When I was up there in 1984 to 85, and Larry Flint, Hustler Magazine, had furnished me a car, leased it for a year, back in October of 83 when I was in the campaign. No money, just the car. I turned it back in, but there was something about it being towed, which gets into all this. What the term towed, you tow somebody, what it means, but I'm not going to try to explain that now, but that's back to an attorney Bowers up there in that area that I went to. So I'm going to leave it there. If you don't understand the patterns and you're willing to go on and let innocent people, because it could be you. One of the nasty people today that posted something really nasty to me and hurtful beyond belief, which was just outrageous and cruel. You know, this may sound garbled to you here. I have put all this up free. My pain and suffering, I never got paid for it. Because I cared, and because for some reason I must have been the intent for me to do this, in whatever plan, whether it's God's or whose ever. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to go any further. I'm going to try to go out for a few minutes and get some fresh air. It's cold here. But you can call me names, and you can... people have pretty much done what they wanted to me. Or you could get up like the kids from Parkland in the school where the shooter went down in Florida. They all got together, and the press covered that. Wasn't that cute? But they weren't telling about the press